Cadillac finally revealed their driver lineup for 2026, and yeah, this one's a proper bombshell. We all knew they were entering the grid. That's old news. The real shock is that instead of going for young talent or making a flashy statement, they've gone full veteran safe mode. Their picks? Sergio Pérez and Valtteri Bottas. Yep, Checo, who just finished the most rollercoaster stint at Red Bull, and Bottas, who's basically the F1 definition of solid but never scary. It's almost like Cadillac looked at the entire driver market and said, nah, we'll take the guys with the most mileage on the odometer. On one hand, you've got a driver who can defend like his life depends on it, but also struggles to qualify in the same postcode as Verstappen. On the other, you've got Bottas, the guy who has mastered the art of finishing P5 and growing immaculate facial hair. It's not exactly the wild superstar lineup people were expecting, but maybe Cadillac's strategy is experience over excitement. The question is, does that actually win them anything in 2026? Or are they just setting up to be the grid's ultimate midfield dads? Alright, so let's actually unpack this Cadillac driver lineup, because honestly, this is where the real shock factor lies. We all knew Caddy was joining in 2026. That part wasn't a surprise. The big question mark for the past year has been, who are they going to trust to put their first ever F1 car on the grid? And now we know it's Sergio Pérez and Valtteri Bottas. Yeah, you heard that right. Checo and Bottas, the ultimate experience but a little bruised combo. On paper, Cadillac's gone all in on experience, which, fair enough, does make sense when you're a brand new team. You don't want two rookies fumbling around learning how to drive in F1 while also trying to debug your first car. But let's be honest, this pairing wasn't exactly what fans were dreaming of. Most people had visions of Daniel Ricciardo making his big redemption arc in the Stars and Stripes team, or maybe Cadillac going full American mode and picking up someone like Colton Herta. I mean, if you're gonna fly the American flag, why not lean all the way in? But no, Cadillac basically said national pride is cool, but winning races is cooler. Now, if you look closer, the choice isn't that crazy. Between Bottas and Checo, you've got over 500 Grand Prix starts, multiple race wins, podiums, years of experience driving for top teams, and, in Bottas's case, about 73,000 hours sitting next to Lewis Hamilton in debriefs. These guys know what a front-running car feels like, what a back-market disaster feels like, and how to grind out points in between. So if Cadillac wants two drivers who won't get lost on lap 1 of their debut race, they've nailed that. Let's start with Sergio Pérez. The man is still known as the Mexican Minister of Defense for a reason. Just ask Hamilton about Abu Dhabi 2021. When he's in the zone, he can defend like a brick wall, manage tires like a wizard, and bring home results when the car is there. But at the same time, he's coming off one of the most brutal teammate matchups in recent history against Max Verstappen. One week he's pulling off a heroic podium. The next week he's qualifying outside the top 10 while Max is on pole by half a second. That inconsistency is the big question mark here. The upside? He brings a huge fan base, big sponsor backing, and genuine race-winning experience. If Cadillac somehow builds a decent car, Checo's the type of guy who could nurse it to a surprise podium. The downside? If the car's tricky to drive, we might see more of those frustrating Saturdays where he's nowhere near the front. Now on to Valtteri Bottas. Mr. Consistency. Mr. I'm going to qualify well, hold position, and bring the car home. Let's be honest, Bottas has always been that driver who's really good, but just not quite great. At Mercedes, he was the ultimate team player. Picked up some solid wins, but in the end he was forever in Hamilton's shadow. Then at Alfa Romeo/Sauber, he basically became the guy who grew a mullet, rocked a mustache, and reminded everyone he's still a damn good racer, even if the car wasn't anywhere near the front. For Cadillac, that's valuable. He knows how to work with engineers, he's been part of a top team's development culture, and he's got experience with Ferrari engines, which is huge because that's exactly what Cadillac will be running. He may not light the world on fire, but if you're looking for someone who dragged your car into Q3 or score points on a good day, Bottas is that guy. The really interesting thing here is the bigger picture. Cadillac has signed both of these guys on multi-year deals, meaning they're not just treating 2026 as a one-off experiment. They're locking in for stability, trying to avoid the chaos of swapping drivers every season while the team is still figuring itself out. And honestly, that could pay off, because let's face it, Building a new F1 team is a nightmare. Haas came in and looked decent at first, then disappeared into the midfield abyss. Audi's trying to gear up for 2026 with big ambitions, but we still don't know how that will go. For Cadillac, having two experienced heads who won't get rattled by a few DNFs might be exactly what they need. But let's also be real, the fan hype was definitely higher for other names. People wanted Ricciardo for the personality factor. Imagine Cadillac's first season with Danny Rick doing shoeies in cowboy boots. Instant marketing gold. Others wanted an all-American lineup because, well, America. Colton Herta was heavily rumored, and he probably still will be in the long-term picture, but Cadillac clearly decided they can't risk the rookie learning curve in year one. They need results, or at least respectability, straight away. So where does that leave us? Best case scenario, Cadillac nails the 2026 regulations, builds a midfield busting car, and Perez and Bottas use their experience to haul in consistent points. Maybe even snag the occasional podium if chaos hits. Worst case, they're stuck at the back, and we're all sitting here in a couple years wondering if they should have just gone bold with a younger lineup instead of playing it safe. Either way, one thing's for sure, Cadillac's not here to just make up the numbers, they're going for respectability from day one. And with this driver pairing, they've set themselves up for exactly that. The real question is whether playing it safe pays off, or if 2026 turns into a season of what-ifs. So Bottas and Pérez are confirmed for Cadillac, and now the question becomes, was this really the smartest move? Like, let's be real here, Cadillac is stepping straight into the deep end of Formula 1, right when the new regulations hit. That's either the best timing possible, or the fastest way to realize you've just signed up for an extended midlife crisis. Because if they absolutely nail these new regs, the way Mercedes did back in 2014 with the hybrid engines, suddenly boom, they're at the sharp end, shocking the entire paddock, everyone acting like they saw it coming, when in reality nobody believed Cadillac could actually pull it off. But the flip side is brutal. If they miss the mark, it's not like you fix it in a couple races. This sport eats you alive if you're behind. It could easily take them 3, 4, even 5 years just to get out of the basement. And that's if everything goes right. And let's be honest, new teams don't exactly have the best track record when it comes to storming into F1 and embarrassing Ferrari on day one. Usually, it's more like congratulations you exist while they spend season after season fighting to not be last. But hey, credit to Cadillac for diving in during the most competitive era we've ever seen. The grid is stacked, the margins are insane, and it's either gonna be a fairy tale or a full-on disaster reel. And for Bottas and Perez, well, they've signed themselves up for either the redemption arc of their careers or a long, painful reminder that sometimes experience doesn't save you when the car underneath is a shopping cart.